I want to start off by saying a little story. So, my grandmother is 93 years old. And my dad and mom are 70 years old each. And my grandma lives with my parents. And so, I used to live with them as well in New York for 15 years together. It was my grandma, my mom, my dad, my wife, myself, and my 6 kids all in one house. And it was an incredible experience. It's a transgenerational experience. We've learned from each other. But my parents take care of my grandma. So I was visiting my grandmother back in New York. And I'm coming into the room and I hear her ask my mother, "Where is my mother?" So she's 93 and she's asking my mom where her mother is. And so my mom does the logical thing, because there's logic and emotion. And so my mom does the logical thing and she says, "Mom," and my mom is the daughter-in-law, "Mom, your mom passed away. She died." I'm in the room, my grandma looks at my mom and says, "You are the worst daughter-in-law in the world. I regret that I allowed my son to marry you." Now mind you, my mom has been taking care of my grandma for 20 years. She is a daughter to her. So my mom got very, very heated, obviously, right? Like, how could you say that? So then I come in, because I see what's going on. And I say, "Mom, hold on a sec. I say, "Grandma, no, your mom, she went shopping. She went to get some bread. And do you want to see some pictures of my kids? Look, this is Avraham, this is Tzipporah, this is Yosef. Don't ask me for their birthdays because I don't remember." And so when I showed that to her, automatically the situation became de-escalated. I used a specific technique. One technique is validation therapy. One should never argue with a person living with dementia. You're not going to win. And the reason for that is because what they see in their eyes is very, very different than what you see. They are wearing different glasses. If someone told you right now that Michael Jackson was speaking to you right now, what would you tell me? You'd say, "What are you talking about? That's not Michael Jackson. It's better, it's Dr. Erik." Right? So try arguing with you guys. That's what my grandma saw. So I did validation. Then I did redirection. Now that's actually very, very important, because a lot of the times, what would be the next step in management? My mom would call the doctor and say, "She's getting out of hand. She's making all these accusations. She's yelling. She's screaming. Yeah, it's her dementia that's progressing. How much Seroquel is she on? 25 milligrams. Let's up it to 50 BID. That very commonly is, unfortunately, the approach. Now, if you look at the data, in the state of Florida in 2020, there were 580,000 people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Now, that's just Alzheimer's disease. In 2025, that number went up to 720,000 people. Right? Now that's just Alzheimer's, and to ask the audience, and this is a very educated group, is Alzheimer's disease the only and the one dementia? So that means there's a lot more other types of dementias. Okay, here's another statistic. This is coming out of the Alzheimer's Association, which I'm on the board of in South Florida. 40% of providers, doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, you name it, say they don't feel comfortable or lack the tools of actually making a dementia diagnosis. 40%. So that's 720,000. What, is that really a real number if 40% of us say we can't diagnose it the right way? It's more than double. It's more than double, and that's just Alzheimer's disease. So we know we have a big problem. We also know in the state of Florida, we have more than 800,000 caregivers. defined as an unpaid relative or non-relative taking care of a person, right? And helping them with ADLs and IADLs. More than 800,000. 66% of those caregivers themselves have a chronic condition. I know my mom and dad do, they're 70. And 28% have depression. Now, I don't think it's 28%. I'm more than confident it's double. How many caregivers walk around and say, Umi, I have depression, I want to take a survey? Right? So we know that's an understated value. So looking at that information, Medicare came out in 2024 with a new program, and it's called the GUIDE model, Guiding an Improved Dementia Experience. It started in 2024, as you know, and it runs until 2032. So it's an 8-year program. First of all, very important, who is it for? Number one, it's for a person who has a diagnosis of dementia. Number two, it's for a person who has traditional Medicare. Who is it not for? It's not for someone who has a Medicare Advantage plan. It's not for someone who's on hospice. It's not for someone who is on PACE, all-inclusive plan, right, called PACE. It's not for someone who is in a nursing home. And as of May 15, 2026, it is not for someone who is in a memory care unit. Did I get those right? Yep. So that's who it's for. Who else is it for? Well, it's also, so that's Michael. Michael's the person living with dementia. It's also for Samantha, who's the caregiver. That could be the wife, right? That could be the daughter, could be the son. Okay, Dr. Erik, but how does that help Samantha? What does it do? Well, the GUIDE model has two components. And again, very important. Doesn't change your doctor, doesn't change your pharmacy, doesn't change your insurance. Everything stays the same. So what does it offer Samantha? Well, Samantha, and this is how I explain it. Samantha, what if every Sunday for 4 hours, for example, for 18 weeks, because we know there's a certain number of hours that are approved, right? What if for once a week, every Sunday for 4 hours, you, Samantha, can take your husband and your kids, go out, play, go in the playground, and you know that someone could be there with mom while you catch a break. Because Medicare knows, Samantha, if we go heavy on you and you're taking care of your mom, what's going to happen to your health? What's going to happen to the cost of care when you enter Medicare? So Medicare's like, what if we give Samantha a break? Samantha's like, wow, for 18 weeks every Sunday for 4 hours, that's amazing. That's not the only way you can use it, right? Samantha, what if mom gets into the hospital and now she's discharged? And there's a hospital bed, there's all these different things that came there. And you're exhausted. What if Samantha, for 5 days, 8 hours a day, post-hospital, someone could be there with you or relieving you, giving you a break to take care of mom during that transition? How would that sound? You'd say, wow, that's incredible. I'd love that. Okay. Let's ask you, Tiffany will say, right? I know your name. Let's say Tiffany. We'll say, well, Tiffany, what if at 10 o'clock at night, mom is looking somewhere, and because your shades are open and the light from the outside is coming in, and there's a coat rack or something like this here, and there's a shadow, and your mom calls you and she says, I see a ghost. Help me, I see a ghost. Well, what if at 10 o'clock at night, you don't know what you do, and you had a 24/7 hotline that you can call? Someone here in the States who's a social worker and a RN can pick up and say, well, hold on a second. Can you show me what the room looks like? Is there a shadow where she's pointing to? Don't jump to the Seroquel. Don't jump to change in mental status. Don't jump to sending her to the hospital. Let's take a look at what's actually happening. What if, Tiffany, at 10 o'clock you had that phone number to call? Wow. Or what if your mom doesn't want to take a shower, a care navigator, I'll give you a quick example of what we did. We had a patient in an ALF, and at that time you were allowed to have them in the memory care unit, and the individual refused to take a shower. So, a couple of ways of approaching it. Again, let's medicate them and make them a zombie, because then we can definitely have them take a shower. That's easy. Another thing, what we did was, I said, all right, we had the private duty home care agency who was in the ALF. We had my care navigator, myself, and the wife. And I asked the question, let's take a look, because with a guide model, we actually staged the dementia. Let's take a look, is it mild, moderate, or severe? With mild dementia, there's one approach. With moderate, there's another. With severe, so this gentleman had severe dementia. Okay, severe dementia, write him off, he doesn't understand anything. No. Tell me about what happens when you go to the shower. Well, you know, when he soils himself, he has no problem getting up, standing like this, and having somebody change him. No problem. So he understands, even though he has dementia, he understands the fact that he has to stand and get changed. That's the process. But what happens when he goes to the shower? Oh, he starts putting up a fuss. So it's not his dementia. It's something in the shower that we have to identify and figure out what's going on. So we did. I said, why don't we do this? Like Pavlov, let's do, well, what does he like? He likes chocolate cake. Amazing. Let's give him a chocolate cake before. Now he's taking the steps. Give him some more. Now he's in the room. Before he's in the shower, have the shower be 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the room so it's not cold. Okay. Who's in the room usually? Oh, it's me and my son. I have 6 kids. I don't want my kids to see me naked. How many of you guys, by a show of hands, would love the opportunity for all your kids to see you completely undressed? No, nobody? Right, so, oh, he has no, but there's dignity. That may be, okay, let's put your son away. All right, is anybody holding the towel? Right, when you're giving him the water, are you splashing it? Come on, come here, you gotta take a shower. Or is it, honey, is it okay if we start here? Is this water fine? Yes, he has severe dementia, but are we communicating that? How does our face look? How are we dressed? Do we have scrubs on? Maybe the scrubs are making him afraid that he's in the hospital and there has an experience with a nurse, right? Once we did that, 2 weeks later, the guy was taking showers with no problem, because we identified it was the splashing that they started from here instead of starting from the bottom slowly up. That was the cause. Now, Seroquel would have taken us 5 minutes. This took us an hour and a half. That's where the guide model is. So imagine, Tino, if you have the ability to tap into that resource at no cost, and Medicare is paying for it. Now, what else do we do? I'm a big believer in support groups. I actually go to the support group in Broward Health. There was a lady, and I went to the support group, and I'm sitting there, and I'm a doctor, right? I'm sitting there. I'm logic. Remember, doctors are logic. Dementia requires logic and emotion. Emotion is important. So I'm in the support group. This lady's there, and she's speaking. She's like, my husband has dementia, and he's hoarding all this stuff. He's hoarding. So I'm logic. Well, why don't you hire someone to come in and clean if it bothers you, right? And I give another advice, and another advice. And she's like, no to this, no to that, no to this, no to that. And then on the other side, there's someone else sitting who's also a caregiver, who also has a loved one with dementia. And she says, Mary, can I be honest with you? And she looks at her and she says, I don't think the hoarding is the real problem. I think the biggest question that you're asking yourself now is, can I continue being a caregiver for Charlie? I think that's the biggest question. And you're just, maybe you don't have to say it. I'm like, oh, okay, now there's pause right in the room. And I see that caregiver start to cry. And she says, yes, that's exactly it. He's my husband, we'll leave for 40 years. I don't know if I could put him to live in an assisted living. I don't know. And she's like, don't worry about it. I had the same situation. Let me talk to you. Let me explain to you what I went through. It's not going to be easy, I get it, but let me give you some of the things I went through, and so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And that started a bond. And when she left that day, she felt like she left a piece of heavy weight on the table, because she knew there was someone else who went through that, who could help her through that. That's the power of the support group. We link folks to support groups like Tino's and like other support groups. So that is what the guide model is. It's an incredible program, and we're the stewards of it, meaning if we do it right, Medicare will continue it after. Finish off here. I was speaking in the World Health Expo, 15,000 people. You can look it up on my LinkedIn. I was on stage with Mayo Clinic, Broward Health, University of Miami, and as well as Miami-Dade Commissioner. My head of digital, Ron, was there as well with me. And as I'm finishing speaking, I come down, and a lady comes up to me and she says, Dr. Erik, my mom is in the guide model. So I think, okay, maybe the national guide model, maybe someone else. And she's in your program. And Irina, the care navigator, what a lifesaver that has been for us. And once I heard that, I'm like, wow, being on stage, 15,000 people, these big organizations, but that comes nothing compared to having that feedback from that one individual that I know we're making a change. So the guide model, we have to speak to people every month. Now you could do this. Hello, how are you? Everything's okay? Amazing. Okay, click, bill, move on. When I tell my team, I said, it's not about the phone call. It's about what did you do in that call that when you hung up the phone, you left them with something of so much value that they said, wow, I received value in that phone call. Not just a check-in, but how can I change your life? And so thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's a blessing to be here, and thank you again. Have a wonderful morning.
So I hope that you found this video helpful. And if you're caring for someone with dementia, I know how actually overwhelming it can be. There's a new free dementia care program through Medicare that a lot of people actually don't even know about. And it can support you, including up to $2,500 for something called respite care, for things like having a private duty home care in your house, helping taking care of your loved one. Or imagine having a 24/7 support helpline. Now, if you want to see if you qualify, go to the website that you see on your screen or scan the QR code that you see. Talk to you soon.